G'day YouTube. I've been asked a few times to do this video, and a mate just asked me whilst I was in the process of packing plants. So I thought I'd do a video on how I pack and send nepenthes. I've noticed a few people don't like doing shipping. They haven't done it before, too worried about trying and how to do it. At the end of the day, they are tough plants. If you put a bit of time and care into how you box them up, how you protect the plants, they take to shipping quite well. There's always going to be, they may lose a picture or two, maybe a damaged leaf, which we all try and avoid, but sometimes that is what it is. But at the end of the day, you're not buying a plant for these 5 or 6 leaves that are on it right now and these current pictures, but you're buying that plant to have for the next 5, 10, 20 years as it grows and matures. So I've got a couple of things here. Some I've already packed up to send. You might just be able to see over here. I've got a whole tray to go, and there's another tray outside that I'll bring in once these are done. But I thought I'd give you a rundown on how I do it. Firstly, I tend to use, as much as I don't like plastic bags, there's no better way to keep the humidity in and stop the plant drying out during the shipping. So these are great, just simple sandwich bags. Usually I buy the recycled ones, but they didn't have any, and I have a whole bunch of orders to go out, so at the moment that's what I've got. So for smaller plants, seedlings, that sort of thing, maybe small cuttings, I tend to like leaving them in the pot when I can. Just clean off a couple of the pitchers and dead leaves. Try not to disturb the roots. Let them get sent through nice and healthy. And where possible, to try and keep the media in place, I will just put some box tape around the plant, just over the media, to keep it in the pot. This can be a bit tricky with some plants. You can see I push the label down and just try and get under the leaves here. And I don't know if you can make it out, but I've tried to get the tape there right up to the base of the plant. Fold it down the sides, fold it on. Next side, same thing. If there's one small leaf trapped underneath, it's not going to be the end of the world. It may actually be an advantage to keep the plant in the pot. Now, I have seen this fail. I haven't had any issues with mine so far. At least no one has brought it up with me. And to be fair, when it's failed on other people's, I don't tend to bother saying much either. It's not the end of the world. A bit of the media comes out, the plant's lifted out of the pot. As long as the roots aren't damaged, the plant's going to be fine. Pot it back up, water it in, put it in your greenhouse, it's good to go. Now, I did realise, got ahead of myself and put this one in without taping it. And just looking at it, it's going to be a little bit trickier because you can see this one is actually sitting mostly below the surface of the pot. It wasn't intentional. I think I potted up a couple of hundred seedlings this day, and clearly I didn't fill all the pots fully. So for this one, I might take a little bit of damp paper towel. You probably can't see there, but I've got a cup of water here. You don't want anything soaking wet when you're shipping plants, so I'll squeeze most of the moisture out of that. It's basically just slightly damp. And I'm going to use this to keep the tape off the top of the plant. I'll get another one in there. Slip that in there. This one's going to be a little bit trickier, but there we go. So a little bit of creativity here, all right, to keep it away from the picture. And I'll snip that section there too. Admittedly, I try not to do it this way very often. Unfortunately, this tape's very sticky. But that didn't work out how I was hoping. So I might cut this into strips. Using the normal sticky tape I've got in front of me would have possibly been an easier option. And admittedly, I'm wishing this wasn't the one I did on video now. But not everything works perfectly every time. So, let's use a bit of that. So that's in there nice and securely now. Yeah. Oh, see there, the picture's drooling away. It's a nice little truncata labicola. It's one of my newer crosses I've released. But that plant's not going anywhere. So back to the bag. Slip the plants in. I try and make sure that the pitchers aren't trapped between the pots where I can, but it's not always possible. Again, if something is damaged, as long as it's not the growth tip or the roots, the plant will very quickly bounce back from it. Once you got them in there, you'll see I cut a small slit in the bag just to let some airflow come through. I know it's there to try and stop them drying out, but you don't want the risk of rot either. Oop. I should edit these pieces out and do a bloopers reel, but I tend to keep everything single take, and that way you see what life's actually like. It doesn't always work out. So that's them potted there. Unfortunately, the truncata labicola pitch is a bit tall. I'd like to wrap that bag down a bit tighter, but we'll sort that out in the boxing up section. Now, the next one you'll come across is cuttings. This is a Ventricosa inimus. I do tend to empty the liquid out of the pitchers. Any bugs, just allows them to not spill all through the packaging. I'm not a fan of sending cuttings and plants this size potted up, purely based on the fact if anything gets shaken around whilst it's in shipping, top part of the plant's secured. If that pot moves, that stem is most likely going to snap. So for this, just work the pot gently, loosen off the media, empty it out. Always handy to have a tray at hand. Oop. Allows me to check. There's a nice healthy little root structure there. It's not massive, but that is more than capable of keeping the plant happy, and they'll continue to grow once it's repotted up when the customer receives their order. So again, back to the damp paper towel, quick dip in the cup of water, squeeze it out. I know most people use sphagnum moss for this. I don't even think I have any sphagnum moss anymore. I just don't use it in my plants. So I tend to use a bit of the media that the plants are in. In this case, it's a cocoa chip and perlite mix. It's a nice chunky mix, but secure that with the paper towel. Another bag. Don't forget the plant tag. I'll just slip that in like that. Now, I would admit I'd love to have more room to do this and set up a bit better, but I'm working with the space that I have. So I'll try and get that down to the bottom of the pot. And you can see me looking around because I didn't prepare my my plant ties that I usually use to secure these. It may be in the drawer in front of me, or there might be something else I can use. But just try and keep the growth tip out of the zips for the bag. Again, cut a small hole just to allow a little bit of air exchange. And what have I got? I've got a small cable tie. One I prepared earlier. Don't need that long. I'll just cut that down. So if you take the base of the plant, just above where you got the root ball and the media, the paper towel, I like to just tie that off. One of these plant ties. A little bit of string would work too. Whatever you've got on hand, really. Twist that in. And there you have it. So that's perfect, ready to be sent off. Usually for me, I put my just put my order numbers on the bags, or you can put whoever you're sending to's name. If you're only sending one or two packages, it's usually a lot easier. In this case, I think there's 20 or 30 boxes going out, so I need to keep track of everything. Although I'm not boxing everything up at the moment, I will do this one for the video's sake. Just try and make sure I stay in the shot. Again, probably could have prepared this before I put the video started filming, but it's all right. And then butcher's paper. This I use just for a bit of padding in the box. Check the plant, so it goes down the bottom. This box, there's going to be a bit of spare space. This order wouldn't have fit in my smaller boxes, so this will have to do. And then it's just a matter of figuring out how to situate the plants properly. So I'll put the seedlings there, and the cutting can actually sit next to it there. So you can see there, everything's just about below the top of the box height. I might just have to shove that section down a little bit. Put that back there. So it's got them there. Now, the only other thing to do is fill in any extra spaces. Sorry if I'm yelling. I'm used to talking out loud to the camera, but I recently got a lapel mic. Hopefully the sound quality is going to be a lot better. But if I start yelling, it just means I've forgotten that I've got the mic on. You can always rip these up. Stick that in there. That holds the cutting and the seedlings separate. And that over the pots, you can have that nice and tight because the pots aren't going to get damaged. But you don't want everything else too tight. That you might damage the plants by packing them. I'm sorry if this sounds horrible on camera. I'm sure it does actually. And just in there. And once you got that point, close everything up. Now you got to remember that The postal service workers aren't always as careful as we'd like them to be with our packages. If you can picture Ace Ventura in Pet Detective, the opening scenes might show my age there, but that's what you can expect your packages to go through. So before I seal this box up, I tend to give it a good shake, and there is nothing moving within that box. Now, I'd hope that the plants don't get thrown around too much. Take that up there, and that's nice and secure. And that's really all there is to it on this. In this case, I am going to put my order number on this box because that's the only box I've done so far, and I don't want to get things mixed up. So there you have it. That's how I pack plants. I'll print up a postage label later this afternoon, hopefully get this off and send that off tomorrow. I send all my packages at the start of the week with express post. That way they're not getting caught up in the postage system over the weekend, sitting in a van somewhere, anything like that that can affect the health of the plants. Also, as a business side, if anything is destroyed, I do put insurance on all my packages. That comes out of my end, not the customers. So if anything's lost, Australia Post will replace it. And if not, if anything's damaged, I'll do what I can with it. I can replace the plant, give a refund if the plant's completely destroyed. I haven't had to do it yet, but it's always there if need be. So there's that. Hope you have a great day, and I'm going to get back to packing these plants because I've got a lot to do today. Cheers.